Hello, grade ones. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Robin, and today in numeracy, we are going to learn all about capacity. What is capacity? Capacity is the word we use to describe how much of something a container can hold. It is the amount or volume of liquid a container can hold. Let's look at some everyday examples. A 1 liter bottle of milk holds 1 liter of liquid. So if we have a look over here, we can see that this is our 1 liter bottle of milk. And we know that only 1 liter of liquid can fit inside of there. The next example is a 2 liter bottle of cold drink holds 2 liters of liquid. So here is my bottle of cold drink, and we can see that it can only hold 2 liters of liquid. So there are everyday examples all around us that show us capacity. Let's talk about capacity. There are some words that we use when talking about capacity. These words are overflowing, full, half full, and empty. If we look at the picture examples over here, let's use those words. Please read with me, grade ones. This glass is full. So if we have a look at the strawberry juice, we can see that this glass is full all the way to the top. So there is a lot of liquid in this glass. If we have a look at the next one, this glass is half full. So when you look at the picture, you can see that this glass has liquid that only goes up to halfway. So we say that it is half full. And the last one, this glass is empty. So we can see over there that there is no more or very, very, very little liquid left, which means someone drank all of their strawberry juice. So we say that it is empty. We use different words to talk about and compare capacity. So let's look at an example. When we use the word compare, grade ones, it means that we have two objects and we want to look at both objects, maybe at how they look or how heavy they are or at their capacity, and to compare them. So when compared, a glass has a lesser capacity than a bucket. So we can see our glass over here and our buckets over there. And we are saying that the glass has a lesser capacity than a bucket. This means that the glass can hold a less amount of liquid than the bucket. If we have a look at the size of the glass and the bucket, we can see that the bucket is bigger, which will mean it can hold more liquid. So again, a bucket has greater capacity than a glass. This means that a glass holds less water than a bucket, and that a bucket can hold more water than a glass. So if you had a look at the pictures, you would be able to see that. So the important words over here, grade ones, are less than, greater than, lesser capacity, greater capacity. So I'm sure these are some words you have heard before when doing numeracy. Now we are going to practice. The two objects that we are going to compare in this example is a glass and a bucket. And from our previous lesson, remember we learned about different words that we can use to describe capacity, such as overflowing, full, half full, and empty. And just looking at these two pictures of the glass and bucket, what word would you use to describe them? Very good, grade ones. We would say that the glass and the buckets are both overflowing. And why would we say this? Because we can see that the water is coming out of the glass and has spilled here at the bottom. And the same with the buckets. The water has spilled over and is at the bottom of the buckets. Now we are going to use the word box to fill in the missing words. The words in our word box are greater, lesser, most, and least. So let's read the first sentence together. The bucket has a missing word capacity than the glass. So if we look at the bucket over here, would you say that the bucket has a greater or lesser capacity than the glass? Yes, fantastic. The bucket has a greater capacity than the glass, which means it can hold more water. Let's read the next sentence together. The glass has a missing word capacity than the bucket. So if we look at our glass, does our glass have a greater or lesser capacity than the bucket? Yes, the glass has a lesser capacity than the bucket. This means that the glass can hold less water than the bucket. And our last sentence, let's read together. The bucket can hold the missing word liquid. So we are going to look at our word bank. The bucket can hold the most or least amount of liquid. Which word? Very good. The bucket can hold the most liquid. Well done, grade ones. Keep up the good work. Again, we have a word bank. Let's look at the words. This time we have smaller, greater, most, least. And now we are going to compare three objects. Let's look at the objects. We have a glass, bucket, and vase. And what word would you use to describe the capacity of these three objects? Would you say that they are full, empty, half full, or overflowing? Super work, grade ones. That is correct. They are all overflowing. Now let's compare them. Let's read the first sentence together. The vase has a missing word capacity than the bucket. So if we look at the bucket and the vase, would we say that the vase has a greater or smaller capacity than the bucket? Between these two objects, which one do you think will hold more water, grade ones? Good work. It would be the bucket. So the vase has a smaller capacity than the bucket. Let's read the next sentence together. The vase has a missing word capacity than the glass. Now we are comparing the vase and the glass. So would you say the vase has a greater or smaller capacity than the glass? Looking at the two pictures. Good work. The vase has a greater capacity than the glass, which means it can hold more water than the glass. And our last sentence, the glass can hold the missing word amount of liquid. So would it be most or least? That is correct. The glass can hold the least amount of water. So out of all the objects, the glass can hold the least amount and the bucket will hold the most amount. Now we are going to circle the containers with the greater capacity. So we are going to look at each object and then circle which one will hold the most amount of liquid. So our first example, we have a bottle of hot sauce and milk. Looking at these two everyday objects, grade 1s, which one would you say has the greater capacity? Very good. It will be the milk bottle, because the milk bottle can hold more liquid than the hot sauce bottle. So we can say that the hot sauce bottle can hold the least amount of liquid and has a lesser capacity. Let's look at the next one. The next two objects is a fish bowl and a glass of strawberry juice. So I want you to look carefully at the objects and tell me which one do you think has the greater capacity? Fantastic, grade 1s. It will be the fish bowl. And why do we say this, grade 1s? Because the fish bowl can hold more liquid than the glass. Our next one wants us to circle the containers with lesser capacity. So this time we have a cup and a kettle. If we look at the cup and the kettle, which one do you think can hold the least amount of liquid or has lesser capacity? Very good. It is going to be the cup, because we know the kettle can take a lot of liquid and has a greater capacity. And the last example that we can see is a bathtub and a pot. Which object do you think, grade 1s, has a lesser capacity? Yes, very good. The object with the lesser capacity would be the pot, because we know that the pot can hold less water than the bathtub. We learned that the bathtub can hold many liters of water. So we learned in capacity that we can use the words greater than or less than, or lesser capacity or greater capacity to describe capacity. We also used words such as overflowing, full, half full, and empty. Now I want you to look around your home and next time you go to the shops to describe different objects and their capacity. Thank you for joining me today for your lesson on capacity in numeracy. Until next time, grade ones, thank you and goodbye.